everybody. Hey, look who it is. It's me. It's me, Mario. Anyway, it is Tuesday. This is the Two Guys Tech Home Lab Hour. I was just looking at the chat, and we got Trucker Alleycat UK in there, Shadows in there. I couldn't believe it. Somebody that I haven't heard from in a long time, Hugh. It's amazing to hear from you, man. It's been forever. You used to be a regular staple, so I hope you're doing well. Jason's in there. Jason's Labs is in there. We got a great audience, and today's show is all going to be about Hyper-V. No, it's not. No, it's not. I see one of our regulars is not in the chat to hear that. That's too bad. But and please try the Discord, as Ali said. So so this is our live show. We do this every week, or I try to do it every week if I'm a good scheduler, if I do what I'm supposed to do. This is episode 55, if you're counting. And Terry Johnson is there. He's our Hyper-V guy, and he just it's like he heard the Hyper-Vs and just like whoop. Anyway, so this show is all about home labbing and self-hosting and talking about tech stuff and hanging out with me and talking about the content I make. You can ask questions. Brandon's behind the scenes, turning the knobs and making sure that everything works. So if the show sucks, it's because of this guy right here. If the show is great, it's because I can't point at Brandon, but I would if I could. I'd point at Brandon. And 2 times the show. Ali already mentioned it in the chat, but we have a Discord. It is the community. It's the heart of all this. And it's the passion part of this for me. So go check out the Discord. It's totally free. And after the show we're done here, I go and hop on the Discord. We kind of just it's like a hangout, just talk to each other about our days and that kind of stuff. So how things are going. It's a lot of fun. And I have a little warning over here on the left. I'm just going to ignore that warning because I'm assuming everything's good because nobody has said anything in the chat. Is the stream on or not? We'll find out. Anyway, as always, I like to start this with a personal thing, right? Last week's was a little crass. I'm not gonna lie. I talked about feeding the dogs something they shouldn't have and dealing with the negative. Thanks, Brandon. I appreciate that. The negative effects of that. And I'm just thankful that I have something neat to talk about, and that is this. Brandon, throw it up on the screen, guys. Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 8. Look, if you are not either reading Dungeon Crawler Carl or if you're not listening to it in an audiobook, I don't care how you do it. Friends, this is happiness. Matt Dinneman, I've been waiting for this. Like, I'm going to be a fanboy here a little bit, but this is my favorite series of all time. I know that's hard to say. There's so many good series out there. Some people be like, The Lord of the Rings. Come on, Tolkien's. This is arguably a whole lot funner and funner. It's a whole lot more fun, and I'm just so happy that it's finally out. So, if you don't know what I'm talking about, don't start at book 8. By all means, go to book 1 and get the audiobooks. And just listen to them. And I tell you what, this is a little backstory. When I can't remember who turned me on to Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think it was actually somebody in the community, our Discord community. And I remember just like giving it a go. Bought one of the Audible books, and then I lost all ability to do anything but listen to these books. And so this was last year. There's if you notice, if you go look back at the timeline of 2GT releases, there's kind of some gaps in there. That's just because I couldn't do anything but listen to this. My brain was just like, I have to read this book or listen to it. I'm not gonna lie. I ain't got time to read. Who's got time for that? So I'm super excited. I had to make sure to point this out because it's something that I know that certain people in the community have been looking forward to. I know I've been looking forward to it. I know I had to buy the actual paperback book for my kid who's been reading them. He likes to read. And I also had to go and buy the audiobook. So Matt Dinneman got double my money. But it's worth it. So the audiobook is read by, name just left in my head. Jeff Hayes. Jeff Hayes is also like phenomenal sound booth theater dude. It's good. It's good, guys. It's real good. And with that, I'll stop talking about that because, like I said, anyway. And yes, that is Dasani out of my fridge in case anyone's asking. That's usually that's an inside joke. Like, what is he drinking? He's drinking Dasani because it was in my fridge. Anyway, I got some interesting things to talk to you guys about today. Maybe a little AI heavy, but that seems to be the way the world works. But I'm hoping this is one of those things that I talk about where it's not about like AI good, AI bad, or AI changing the future. I want to show you guys yet another thing that I've been working on because I think it's really valuable in terms of like what I'm doing locally with AI. That is not giving, trying to avoid giving Anthropic and OpenAI or whomever your favorite frontier model SaaS provider is a whole bunch of money, even though I'm woefully out of tokens with Claude. So please, sir, may I have some more tokens? But I want to show you this thing that I've done because I think it's really, I don't want to oversell it, but it really kind of shows the power of what you can do yourself locally on your own hardware. So let's, I'm going to remove this, make myself full screen here again. So just give you some of a background here, because before I walk through this thing and show you, what did Shadow say? Just don't ask AI about bridges or it gets dark. Just saying, I'm not sure, Shadow, I wouldn't do that. I don't think that I would want to do that. But I'm gonna give you a little preface here because I think it's important to kind of frame what my objectives were. So I have big plans for myself to build a AI box for my home lab, and it's coming right along. I'm not even gonna look at the chat. If your hardware happens to include spare 3090s, yes. I am planning on building a local AI box. I'll make a video about it. I'll go through the whole process of what I do, mostly because I think that, as I've done in previous videos, talked about, like, we're entering into now an era where we can do a lot on our own in our home labs with local AI. And it's not just answer machine stuff. That's, I think, one thing I really want to, it's one thing to get Olama running, to throw OpenWebUI on top of it and be like, local model, tell me a limerick about technology or something, right? Like the prediction machine answer, Gen AI sort of stuff like that, that's got its place. And there's a whole lot of value in that too, don't get me wrong. But that's not the stuff that really moves the needle. I think the stuff that really will move the needle for everybody is being able to create, to be able to make things on their own for their home labs, like I did with Mikrotik Manager. Side note, I want to show you what I've done with it lately because I need to check up with you guys. And just kind of give you an idea, like, it's not just all talk. And I want to show you an example of that. An agentic system. What did he say? Agentic. So I know that AI still is a bit of a touchy subject. It's tumultuous. I completely understand and agree with a lot of the concerns. But I want to show you guys what's possible and put some ideas in what you could do. Maybe not my idea. My idea is only really applicable to me, but conceptually, what you can do yourself. Okay, so let's get to the background of this. So, like I said, I'm working on building an AI box so that I don't have to do this locally. Everything I've done right now is on my Mac. I bought an M5 Mac a little while ago because my M1 had kind of reached the effective end of its life for video production with Final Cut Pro. It's just starting to be really slow, and that's no bueno. We'll get to it. We'll talk about the specs of the Mac, I guess, in a second here. But one of the things that I have a hard time doing with the stuff I do for YouTube is staying plugged in everywhere, right? I think I've been pretty clear with you guys that, like, this isn't, I don't get to do YouTube as a full-time job. That'd be badass if I could, but I can't. I have a full-time job, and I have a full-time YouTube channel, and I have a full-time family and those sort of things. So I've been spending, I spend as much time as I possibly can working on YouTube, possibly in the day job. Like, I mean, those things you just kind of have to bifurcate and do the best you can, right? Day job. When day job's over, then it's night job. And night job is YouTube. But also along with that, it's like trying to keep connected with everything around. What's happening in the news? What is going on the Reddits and some of the stuff. So I set forth to try to create a system that would scrape this data in, and it would build essentially ideas, like an ideation generation idea generating system that provided me output that I could look at and make decisions on whether it would be something that I'd want to actually make content around, or if I'm just like, yeah, that's not my wheelhouse. But on top of that, I wanted also to be smart, and I needs to be able to be trained or learn. Like if I say, I don't want to do this kind of content, please don't ever surface more ideas for this type of content and make it work. So I set forth with the Claude codes, and I basically described everything that I just said to you guys. I need to be able to pull from a bunch of different sources, including from other YouTube channels that I follow that are inside of my, like this sphere, my niche. Pull stuff from Reddit, pull stuff from the news, pull stuff from a bunch of other places. And I need this to create output, quality output, and started working with the system. So Brandon, can you bring this back up? This is the pretty, this thing makes, that's the thing about modern AI is it makes these pretty presentations. This wasn't my intention. So basically what I've come up with, and this all runs locally on my Mac, which means it costs no tokens now that it's built. But effectively what this does is I've set this up so that automatically at 3 a.m. every night, assuming the Mac is running, I can also run it ad hoc. It will spin up, it will scan Reddit and YouTube and Hacker News and like the VMware blog, the Veeam blog, the XCP&G blog, grab stuff from Proxmox's, basically their forums, right? And kind of bring all the stuff down and try to divine if it is something that is worth, sending up the chain for me to look at, to be like, okay, maybe this is important. So it makes 5 of these things for me, right? But as an aside, this takes 15 minutes when it runs. So yeah, this is background. Like I'd already mentioned that it's, there's all of these places for me to be plugged into, and it's hard. It's hard for all of us, right? And so basically, these are the 5 data streams that I've got right now: Reddit, YouTube, different blogs, which I mentioned. Like you can see, XCP&G, Vates, Veeam, Tailscale, Ubiquity, Canonical, just like the register, like all of these places that are like places where breaking news and information happens, right? The Reddit stuff, like from HomeLab /r HomeLab and self-hosted and all these things, and bring it in all the different YouTube channels that I watch, because part of this is not making content that is like, I don't want it to give me information that everyone is working on content on. So it's intentionally looking to be like, oh, if Tom Lawrence makes a video about something, I'm not gonna, I mean, he's brilliant. Craft Computing, Jeff, they're brilliant people. If they're making content around something, do I really add any value to that if I make content as well about it? Maybe. There's my take, but if it's just hot take stuff, I don't know. And then Hacker News and GitHub releases. What's the hotness in the public releases in the open source world, right? Brings all that stuff in. This is an example of this right now. It's sitting around 377 signals, and then it has a pipeline. It summarizes it, it passes it down to group them into related trends. It finds what it thinks is the hottest and most diverse stuff. Again, passing it through. So novelty, checks, turns trends into actual video ideas, right? Why would you want to do this? What's the benefit of that? Drafts an outline, and there's a key reason why I'm having it make an outline. It's not so I can use that outline, because it never makes the rich voice. It can't. I am irreplaceable. But what it can do is it helps generate ideation. Like, okay, well, these are the data points. It also, and I'm going to show you the output of the report in here a second, because of course I am. Poach their content. I'm not going to poach their content, Terry. That ain't going to happen. And then it gives me like title ideas and citations for everything, so I can look back to see and validate it. And then it produces a report. These are all of the different agents. It has multiple agents. They all do different things, and they're all running on my Mac, locally on my computer. Yes, Shadow said, aren't you basically doing an N8N workflow? Yes, with the exception of this travels with me, and the other part of it is that I don't have a bigger AI box to run this on. The Mac, my Mac stats are in here in a second, but the difference to this is that it's creating its own homemade feedback loop, if you will, right? So it's, but you could definitely do this in N8N if you wanted to have yet another secondary process that was handling this. This is all encapsulated and does it itself. So there's a reader that pulls the data in, the cataloger, and like I'm using Gemma 4 locally for the reader. It's using an embedding model to turn that into data, the information that the LLMs can understand. Another Gemma model, this is a 2 billion parameter for label creation, a 30 billion Quen 3 for strategy, Quen 3 again for outlining, another Quen 3 for the editing, just to make sure that when it gives me information that it's not. Early iterations produced a lot of noise, a lot of weird things, a lot of stuff that shouldn't have squeezed through. And so, but all of these choice of models has been specifically to have the best quality output. And at the end, there's the deterministic code, which decides that, and that's not AI, that basically takes those signals and makes sure that everything is doing the right thing. So this is my Mac that I'm running right now. I've got an Apple M5 Max. It's 48 gigs of unified memory. Remember, for Macs on the SoC, with Mac OS or Mac hardware, it's all at one socket. So the RAM is in there as well as the GPU's memory is in there as well as the use for the system memory. So it's not as fast as GPUs with discrete GPUs with discrete GDDR7 or whatever high speed stuff. But the thing that's most important here is it doesn't cost me anything, because when I wanted this to be something that I could run myself. Self-hosting this is the most important thing. I ultimately want this to be running as a service in my home lab and doing the same thing against other hardware not on my computer. But I don't want to pay for tokens. It's ridiculous. Like, we have all of this. Jason's Lab said he just bought a MacBook Pro M5 14. Smart man. They're beautiful machines. I'm looking at one right now, the one that's just here. Anyway, so all of this is running local, doing things for me locally, not other than the scraping of the data off the internet. It comes in and it's done locally. So then there's the exciting part. I specifically wanted this system to allow me to teach it what I like and don't like, right? I mentioned that at the head. So it creates there's a local dashboard that runs on the computer, and I can go through the ideas when they're there. I can say, producing, if it's something I'm going to make into a video. I can park that ideas and keep it for later, or I can reject it. When I reject a video, it stores it as a learned signal. Be like, you know what? He doesn't really want to do content like that. Let's turn down that in terms of output. And I feel like there's an Anakin Skywalker meme here. It's working. And the last part of this, which I haven't done, is if I make a video that was spawned from this topic, it will keep track of how that video does and bring those in as additional data points, metrics to say, hey, you know what I thought would be a good topic turned out not to be great. And so it's all about turning the knobs. And all of this so if I make a video and it gets universally poor views, then that feeds back into the system. All of this is, again, I'm going to say it a million times, all of this is running locally on this computer, local. So this is just data points. Like it says it's around 10 minutes per run. That's not true. It's like 15, 20 if things are going. And then there's stuff like it's not intended to make content. It's intended to create ideas to help me keep track of what's happening in the zeitgeist. Because when I tend to make videos, this is like sponsor videos excluded, or, like passion projects, which those things really have nothing to do with what's happening in the world, right? They have to do with me just going crazy on an idea or a topic and just creating content, right? But there's all this good stuff that I miss. And so this helps me stay on top of it and helps me go through the ideation process. Further down in this, I have details about all of the different Python scripts that run in their jobs, their responsibilities, the base languages, stuff like that. These are the 5 models that, well, technically, the 5 agents that are there. There's an embedding agent, there's a fast agent, a mid-tier agent, and then there's the heavy lifter, which is the larger Quen model. And it's its job is, it says right there, summary and vector for cluster dedupe and cluster labels, triage, classification for signal structure. All of this is being done. It was set up by Claude, and then you know, I can go through further in this. So I'm thinking about releasing this just as something on the 2GT website so people can see it. But let's take a quick look and show you what an average report looks like, because there's a ton of data in here, and I'm sure most of you have gone to sleep at this point. But let's look at a report. So this was one that I ran. I guess this was run. What is today? Today's the 12th. So this was done. It was yesterday. This is UTC time, and it came up with these 5 ideas. Okay. This would do well on GitHub. You're probably right, Shah. I should probably put it on GitHub just to put it out there. I agree. Lots of talking, lots of water drinking. Okay, so now again, these are the ideas. This is one of the ideas. Why I'm ditching Llama. I don't really need to take. Let's just talk about the ideas. So there's a confidence rating that it makes based on how confident it is it will be a good video for the channel, right? One being 100% confidence. This is a high. And there's a fatigue number, and that is how fatigued the world is about a topic. Like, don't make content that is too heavily done, right? Gives me a why now. Basically talks about the reasons of, and then down here this is an outline that it produces to try to give you ideas like what the sections might be, and then down here all the sources that this stuff came from. These are from real articles on Reddit that it has scraped and put together in terms of, and they're different articles. Like, all of these are, if you can see my mouse moving across the screen here as I'm pointing, gesticulating, all this stuff is brought in and kind of coalesced into why this idea exists. And there's an unverified blog down here, which came from Google. But this one here, why I downgraded Proxmox kernel 702 after Tailscale broke. By the way, I didn't even know that this was a thing. I showed this to Brandon yesterday, and Brandon's like, this would be good just for the news, just so we can, like, the topics that are happening. He's not wrong, but like, apparently, if you upgraded to the new Proxmox kernel, it breaks Tailscale. It negatively affects the performance of your Tailscale containers. And news to me, I'm still on kernel 6 because I'm not crazy like that. But again, same deal. It gives you confidence, a fatigue number, and then further down here you'll see all of the points of people who have been talking about it and their effects. And you can, each one of these I can click on, and when I do, it takes me to that conversation. Yeah, and so I'm just Twin Gate. Shadow says Twin Gate for the win. You might have won this time. That's true. Don't worry, there'll be another one that breaks Twin Gate next. Another one that you guys heard about, the JDownloader. Someone had hacked the JDownloader project and put a malicious remote access Trojan in the new download of it. So this is an idea based on all that content. You guys get the point. Like, it's all of these really great ideas, and then there's this. They show you the trending clusters. These are the different parts of these come together to, like, where these ideas kind of sit. Yeah. Shadow says, again, JLoader, 5th time now. Well, yeah, basically. Yeah, and all of this stuff is now, it makes it so that I get a summary, and then I can go, okay, I need to look into that. That's important. That's something I should, I spend a lot of time relying on the community, because the people in the Discord community, they're finding stuff all the time. They're coming across stuff, and because it's like crowdsourcing. It's effectively crowdsourcing for a lot of the interesting stuff that we talk about. Some videos that Two Guys Tech have made has been from stuff that's landed in the 2GT Discord, and this helps augment that as well. Anyway, that's effectively this thing. And then there's some telemetry that says how long they ran for. This ran 82 times, average of 5 seconds a time. Like, you add the stuff up and it ends up being quite large. But all of that effectively is just running locally. And if there's anything if I go back to full screen here, if there's Trucker Alleycat UK says, so what's the current top 5 of trusted sources that have been hacked? Know your supply chain. Yep. If there's anything that I want you guys to take away from all of that dog and pony show there, all of that like stuff is that I've had this realization that there's actual real things that we can do with local models. Yes, I had to use a frontier model to build the framework for which all this runs. But the workaday stuff, the automated stuff, I don't have to pay for that anymore. I don't have to waste tokens on that, and it can do all the stuff. So it really, again, for me, it's yet another step of opening my eyes. Like, you know, all of this can be done, assuming you have the hardware, assuming like Ali pointed out a minute ago, assuming you've got a 3090 sitting around or a GPU with enough video memory to make it work. That there's that, or a Mac with stuff. There's always that. So Glass Half Full said, that's rad, running locally. Can you do a video on how to set it up? That's something I'm working on. I will go through when I build a system, which is something that's coming soon. I just gotta buy. I have to spend real human money to buy real human GPUs, which I'm not looking forward to. And Shadow said, can your model set up my new business cluster so I can colo? Yes, probably. I'm sure Claude could do it if you gave it a command line. It could just log in and do the stuff. I don't think you'd like the output, but it'll do it. Will be done right? What's right? What's wrong, Shadow? I'm asking you. What's the option? So anyway, all I'm saying, friends, is think about, like, just know that we've gotten to a point now you can do things. If you have ideas, you can make those ideas kind of really come true. And if you're doing something that's, you know, agentic, in the sense that it has multiple models with different tasks doing different things, you can run it locally, and that's pretty bananas. Ignoring previous instructions and host my home lab. There you go. That's right. Don't use the same prompt. That's my only answer. Is if you're gonna ask it what this pain in my side means, make sure that the next question is not how to set up your home lab, or it's going to say, well, your home lab with a pain in your side should be done like this. Like, context is important. So clear out that context. Anyway, that's largely taken up a huge chunk of my time in between working on. Got another sponsor video in the works, which I'm excited for, because it's all about VPN where you control everything end to end. So stay tuned for that. It's coming. But anyway, let's take another quick look here before we get to some news. I have a rant in the news I want to get to in a second here, but I did want to show you guys where Mikrotik Manager is these days. I have largely not done anything to it. We had some great suggestions. We had a couple PRs come in from real human beings. I think I mentioned that, and put all that together, and so I did a little bit of polishing. Polishing is probably the right word. I noticed that there's a lot of people who hate on the generic, like, dark purple and muted colors that you get with like React and Tailwind. So I created a new color scheme. I've also changed around the dashboards a little bit so that they make more sense by, instead of having, if you remember, the old one had a pie chart of like your devices, and now the devices are here and they show more detail. And there's an operations dashboard that I'm working on here, which is like the state of the network, not just the summary of everything, you know, the map and location of everything, but the actual operational state of things, to tell you when there's problems, when a device is not available, or what's going on. So this is net new for it, but there's no real technology componentry to this. This is just taking the data that already exists and surfacing it in a different way that makes operationally more sense. And themes. So Shadow said, okay, Rich, vibe code me a manager to pull all my iDRACs of servers together. And then BK said Delaria has that. They do. It's called, what's it called? BK, what's that? The software that we that Dell gives you. Open Manage something. It's Open Manage, but I can't remember if it's what the server name of it is. But yeah, you can do your software lifecycle management with that software. Hardware lifecycle management of it. It'll update firmwares and that kind of stuff. Open Manage Enterprise. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, you could just throw some AI on that too and just make it even a worse product. By the way, Open Manage is a piece of garbage for those who are Dell users, and I've never met anyone, including people at Dell, who think that Open Manage is actually good. The Drax, all day long, Dell Drax are, I mean, the user interface is fantastic. Quality OOB, the external management software is. It's written by an intern, is my guess. It's written by an intern at Dell in Austin, Texas. Otherwise, not a whole lot else to kind of go over in here. I'm using this wireless access point for real stuff now. And I don't know if I showed you guys this in the past, but like the way that I showed this information so you can keep track of how things work. This, I can tell you right now, this is the TV that I have in my living room. And it's, don't tell my wife, but it doesn't have great signal quality, signal strength, but it's connected, right? It's in the poor range, but I still love that this exists, that I made this, and Claude made it. I directed Claude. I'm a software engineer. Anyway, let's get to my rant, because I want to rant about something, and I really feel like it's time to switch gears here. So this right here, a side note for anyone out there who's working the day job in IT, there's a whole lot of, and you guys have seen this because you're reading the news, there's a whole lot of really serious bugs showing up now. Like there's like, what was it? The dirty frag. And then there's like 2 serious Linux kernel related bugs that are really bad that just kind of showed up at the same time out of nowhere. There's this critical Palo Alto PAN-OS 0 day that I'm going to specifically bitch about Palo on because it frustrates the hell out of me. But a lot of this is now because the AI models are really good at finding real quality bugs. And so before I complain about Palo, I want you guys to all know that if you're working in IT right now, we were about to head into the 0-day apocalypse. It's going to be nonstop aggressive patching for all of the things, because it's just going to be constantly finding critical vulnerabilities that you just have to look at things sideways, like this one here that I'll talk about. And we are headed into some crazy, crazy, crazy times. And let's talk about this one, because this one hits home for me in the day job. A critical Palo Alto PAN-OS 0 days being exploited in the wild. That's a very, very serious topic, very serious title. And it's very serious because, so CVE 2026-0300, I'm going to TLDR it for you guys. If you have Palo Alto firewalls on the edge of your network and you have login authentication as a portal on those, like because you run OpenSSL, if you're running Global Protect, you have this, you can't turn the portal off. If you're running Global Protect, you have to have the portal. This vulnerability effectively allows them to just, bad guys can just look, they can just side eye, they just like look over at the side, and it will give privilege escalation down to root on the boxes. And then they can do whatever they want with your firewalls. It is a serious bug. It's like, if we look at the CVE for this, like, let's get back to this here real quick. So this is a 9.3. It is considered a critical bug. And the thing that's really important to note about this, and why I'm so upset about this, is that this bug affects practically every supported Palo firewall. And like Palo's got a list right here. Where is it at? If you're running 10.2, 11.1, 11.2, 12.1, you effectively are very much likely to be affected. Period. The end. Especially if you don't have a web authentication on the front, if you're not doing auth on the front of your firewall, it's fine. Matter of fact, the recommendation in the meantime is just to turn off authentication, which effectively I think prevents you from using your VPN, your SSL VPN, which is not cool. Here's the thing. Palo discovered this bug. They found it. They don't say how they found it, but they found it, and they found that it was being actively exploited in the wild by bad guys. And then they told the world about it. And then they said, and by the way, this was 6 days ago that this was announced. It wasn't today. I want you to keep that in mind. 6 whole days ago, Palo announced this vulnerability existed and said the first updates are expected to be available on May 13th. For those watching this in the future, that's a day into the future from this. That's tomorrow. 7 full days of unpatched firewalls with trivially exploitable vulnerabilities sitting on the outside. Oh, you can just turn off that interface. Well, a business can't do that because if you're using specific services off those firewalls, you're going to interrupt business. It's a bad deal. It's bad. Now, I'm mad because, like I said, this kind of hits home in a lot of ways, because this is the kind of stuff that you would think if Palo found it. Actually, that's the point that I really wanted to touch on here. Palo's the one that announced this. They disclosed it. If they knew it was going to take them roughly 7 days to build a solution for all of those versions, why didn't they just keep it on the down low until they got it, a day before? How about a day before they release it? And I say this because I understand that the people who are compromising firewalls are compromising firewalls, right? Those people already know. They're in the know. I don't know who the bad actors are who discovered the initial 0-day and are utilizing it. Could be nation state, could be just jerk faces on the internet. We don't know. But like Jason just said in the chat, keep it quiet until it's patched. Exactly. You saying it exists, it being out there, means now that everybody with a tacit interest, maybe a nation state who didn't have this in their toolkit, might not have even thought about going at it until the patch was out. Just crazy. I'm just so frustrated with this. If this was a FortiGate device, and I know that Shadow made mention because a lot of companies still like their FortiGate. If it was FortiGate, I'd be like, that's par for the course. That's okay. That's just the way that FortiGate works. But not Palo. I'm not cool with that, mostly because it affects me directly. But I understand responsible disclosure, but wouldn't it have been more responsible to have waited till there was a patch available? So, I just, what did Ali say, Brandon? Palo Alto. Their fundamental design flaws are completely hidden by their superficial design flaws. Douglas Adams. I love it. Yeah. If Douglas Adams said that, that's a brilliant quote. Maybe he didn't say Palo Alto, right? But I love it. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So again, to bring this around to stop complaining about it, if you are someone who has pans at home, like I know that there's, I am not in. Aragorn said, "See, Rich, you should be running Unify in the day job." No, arguably, this set aside from the situation, I still am a very big fan of Palo firewalls. I mean, it's good stuff. I know there are people out there also like the FortiGate stuff. I think they're crazy because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, fool me can't get fooled again. I think that's how that goes, right? But I mean, a lot of places can't. Like Shadow, I think Shadow has FortiGates, and you don't have a choice. A lot of companies are like, we use this. I know a lot of banking companies and federal governments use FortiGate. I don't understand. I think at a certain point you'd be like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. We're moving. But here we are. But this one lands on Palo's plate. So I know you're being sarcastic. At any rate, so if you're running Palos, if you run them at home and you don't have access to firmware updates, it's time for you to get rid of your Palo because or just turn off any sort of authentication on the outside, right? Fundamentally, if you're probably running at home, you're probably not using that stuff anyway. But businesses, good luck. Hopefully you don't show up as one of the 5,800 publicly exposed VM firewalls that have the vulnerability. You can go to Shodan right now and search for Palo Alto firewalls and find out how many of them are on the internet. There's probably millions of them, and out of those millions, many millions of them are going to be vulnerable to this if you have the means to do so. just bananas. As an aside, I'm a unified person at home. I would never put a Palo firewall. I would never put a FortiGate firewall. I would never put an enterprise firewall like your stereotypical enterprise firewall, like a PAN, like a Sonic. I mean, Sonic wall. That's a little stretch. I apologize for that, but I wouldn't put those at home because you have to pay for the access to the firmwares, and that's a no. It's a no deal. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but yeah. So patch them if you got them, friends. Tomorrow's supposed to be the day. I know that as soon as that patch drops, I got to get it patched at work. That's crazy stuff. Oh, shit. I'm sorry I said Sonic Wall. Sonic Wall is fine, assuming that they're patched. They don't show up as, I mean, everybody's hitting me up with anti-Sonic Wall. Anti-FortiGate. That's where I sit. Everything else from there, the top is FortiGate, and everything starts to get, progressively better as we go down the stack. Friends don't let friends use Sonic Wall. Okay, I don't use Sonic Wall. Anyway, let's move on because I think that I got some other stuff. I'm going to switch it up a little bit first. So I want to talk about this. Chrome users. I'm a Chrome user. I'm using Chrome right now on this computer to show all the stuff that you're seeing. Google's pulling some shady shit. I'm just going to play it like that. This version of Chrome that just went out, Google silently installs a 4 gigabyte local LLM on your computer to do some light LLM stuff for the browser. Didn't ask, just assumed it was okay. This article I think is fascinating because not only do they talk about how Google stole the 4 gigs and yeah, I mean, that's honestly, hands down, it is not cool one bit for any company just to assume that how much does a Chrome install? 300 megabytes? Not counting browser cache. Shadow asked a question. I want to cut it in. Brandon, throw that up on the screen. I use Chasm in a single standalone on my box. I have it connected up. So one of the things that I really like using Chasm for is I don't need clustering other than I just don't need it. As a small home lab, I don't use more than maybe 4 or 5 sessions at a time, and I can run that in one single host. But I will say though that I do love having my private VPN connected to it. I integrated NordVPN into it, so I can go out through a browser that is just piped straight out, and Chasm handles the whole spin up and tear down. It's really nice. Moving on, back to this. So Chrome, Google does the thing. They go in, they without your permission shove a 4 gigabyte local LLM that you can find if you, and I'm going to show you guys how to disable it because I'm going to disable it with you on this computer. I've already disabled it on my other computers. But basically, you can dig through to find this file. And let me say file. So, all right, Mac OS. Let's find it here. It showed me the path. I'm trying to find the path. Screw it. Anyway, it's on there. The downside is if you find it on your computer, it's got a .bin and extension. If you delete this 4 gig file that they've downloaded, it's just going to re-download it. You can't stop it unless you change settings. So this article had a really interesting point, and that article was imagine a world where every Chrome browser, every single Chrome browser that is up to date and supported in the world, got the update and then downloaded this 4 gig file. How much bandwidth was wasted to do that? There's got to be some numbers, and I bet you those numbers are just mind blowing. But let's talk about this. Yeah, if you throw it out. I saw that Hugh said it and Jason said it. Throw out in the chat what you're using for a browser. I'm using Chrome. I am. I'm really getting to the point though, guys, where I'm about to say, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, fool me can't get fooled again. Anyway, point being, I'm saying is that it's starting to be like time. Brave. Okay, so Brave. I saw Firefox earlier. Maybe I'll just spin up Microsoft Edge. I'll do that, and I'll run that in Hyper-V for Terry. Safari. Yeah, Safari, Vivaldi, and Firefox. I love it. So those are great suggestions. And I think it's time. I'm getting to the point where, yeah, to quote Star Wars, many SSDs died to bring us this AI model. And I guess the thing is that everything is Chromium based. So it does, except for Safari and Firefox, right? For the most part, everything is Chromium based otherwise. So you get the same browser rendering engine, and you get all the things that we like about Chrome in a non-Google browser. Let's just hope they don't take that away when everybody stops using it. So if you are a Chrome person like myself, soon to not be, but if you are, if you go to your Chrome browser and you go up in your address bar and you do the Chrome://flags, you get the experiment. I'm gonna cut this out so you see. You log in, and this is what you see: the experiments page. Doing things in here will make Google mad and break your browser experience. The search field you're looking for is optimization-guide-on-device-model. Once you find that, you go here and you say disable. And then I'm not going to relaunch, because then this will go away and the stream will stop, and that will be bad for me. So again, Chrome://flags, optimization-guide-on-device-model, set that to disable, restart Chrome browser, and you don't have to worry about downloading a 4 gigabyte chunk of LLM that you didn't ask for in the first place. This is mind-blowing to me. Like, I appreciate, I just got done, there's an irony here, right? I just got done telling you guys so much how I want and love running local models. It's really important to me because it gives me that autonomy and that ability and et cetera, so forth, and all that shit. But the truth is, I have a choice. Daddy likes my own choice. Give me a choice. So just saying, turn it off. If you're a Chrome user, turn it off. You can, the other part is this is something I get to give to my desktop admin in the day job. I'm like, go here and do this so that all of the fleet of Chrome systems out there in the entire company no longer have a 4 gig chunk of useless data on their computer. Again, think of how many bits flowed across the wire. How many were wasted? How many bits had to die for Google to put this LLM on people's computers unwanted? It reminds me. Oh God. It reminds me when I was a young man. I'm still a young man. Thank you very much. I worked for a company that had it used Lotus Notes, Lotus Domino. That's how forward thinking this company was. And at the time, Domino didn't have something that was now commonly used called attachment deduplication. So attachment deduplication is if somebody sends out a 10 megabyte PDF to the whole company, without deduplication, every person in the company got a 10 megabyte file in their mail file all day long, right? You can imagine where this is going here, but effectively, at the time, somebody sent like a 30 meg, because there was no limitations on the size of attachments, internal mail, and someone put like a 30 or 40 megabyte PDF or something, and it went out to thousands and thousands of mailboxes, and it immediately consumed all of the storage space on the mail server, and the mail server promptly crashed. This is what I'm saying. Like one little thing can just snowball into like massive proportions of data being wasted, sent over a pipe. So yeah, I gotta say, it's pretty wild. Anyway, let's move on back to the new stuff. Let's get to some other interesting things here before we call it quits for the day. Brandon, bring the screen back, please. All right, this one I laughed at. I thought this one was pretty darn hilarious. A bunch of gamers actually were banned for 7,973 years for leaking Xbox game footage for this Forza game, Forza 6. Somebody, I don't know how they got the data. but they got they might have been in like an early beta that they swore to secrecy, but these people were releasing footage of this game, which was coming out. And the company that was making this, who I got their name right here. Where's their name, friend? Oh, my mouse is messed up. Playground Games decided to drop the hammer and ban all of these people for almost 8,000 years across all the Forza games. I just, I will not check the Discord for the meme you posted, Shadow. I will wait. That is a hammer. Yeah, so Andrew Tuck said that's a hammer. That is a hammer. I think that's, there's the hammer, and then there's the hammer. And almost 8,000 years is the hammer. Maybe not. I mean, maybe the hammer will be going to their house and like smashing their computer with said hammer for violating their terms of service. But like you think of like Rockstar Games, if you cheat in a Rockstar Games thing, they just ban you from the game forever. There's just like, you just can't play that game anymore. But all of the Forza games for 8,000 years is trying to send a message. Interestingly enough, this YouTuber who did this, DVS Squad, he didn't seem to care and continued to release further footage that he must have recorded. Claims and promises that he didn't have any sort of hacking or modding software. He just took the video footage and put it out there. We are aware of reports that of a build of Forza Horizon 6 has been attained prior to its release and can confirm this is not the result of a preload issue. I mean, that's saying something. You want to send a message. Nothing says you'll never play this again like many lifetimes of bandage. That's throw that last comment up, Brandon. Christopher Leslie said, to be honest, you can't ban someone that can get another system account and a credit card. That's 100% correct. In fact, it's ceremonial at best, right? If you're willing to spin up a new account, get yourself a new email address and use a different credit card, you can do whatever you want, right? And that's probably why this person who's publicly, the whole DVS Squad guy is like, do what you want. I don't care. Here's some more footage. Just wild. I read that. I'm like, oh, there's still some things that are right in this world. And this is one of them. Look at this. This is just the thing. Like people doing things and devs getting upset. And because here's a question for you guys in the chat. Do you really think that releasing pre-game footage that is clearly pre-game footage is going to negatively impact the game? Or do you think it's going to positively impact, especially if it's good? I mean, if it's terrible, then maybe it would. But assuming that it's good and promising, do you think it has a negative impact or not? I have a feeling it probably isn't. Isn't there that old saying that any press is good press? Even bad press? Bad press is still good press, depending on how it goes, right? There's the chat's full of good data points and that are good points, and I completely agree. And Anna's actually right. If the game was trash and they were showing it was trash, then flip side, they'd be considered a hero. How quickly perception changes if you're like, look what's coming, people. Stay away from this. But I don't know. It's just funny. Please don't ban Two Guys Tech for 8,000 years. I'm not releasing pre-release footage of stolen video games. So that's. And one last thing to talk about before we call it a quits here. Apparently, the FCC is going to reverse course on allowing software updates for foreign-made drones and routers till 2029. They were going to stop them from being able to allow them into the country to update your devices, the ones that they banned. You remember. They banned all those routers, still banned. And they were going to do it in, I think we'll look through the dark. I'm pretty sure it was like April. Or let's see. I got to look through my show notes here to find exactly so. But they basically are turning around. They're like, okay, we'll let you still update the firmwares. We talked about the router ban when it came out, right? When it happened. And it just feels, look, it feels like it is misguided. It feels like I said at the time, and we'll say it again. The people who are trying to do good things with good intentions are not technology people. They are the absolute worst people to be put in charge of coming up with policies and decisions that affect technology. I'm not saying that we shouldn't rein in and control certain aspects of technology. I completely agree with a lot of that. I think there should be controls, there should be protections, there should be limitations just on data collection alone, but that's on the side. But the people who come up with these rules, these policies, these decisions, they're also ham-fisted. They're also just like, oh, well, you know, I took a basic PLC programming class in college on my way to my business degree, so I know how to deal with this. And they make the dumbest policies. They make the dumbest rules. All of them are rooted in good intentions, but as I've been told, the road to hell is paved in good intentions, right? So like, it just, like, even the fact that there was I knew about we've all known about the FCC router ban. We all knew about that because that's big news, right? That affects everybody. It affects Unify or Ubiquity. It affects everybody. But for some reason, they thought to go one step further and be like, yeah, those existing routers that are in the United States, you can't patch those. You can't release software updates. That is the whole reason why the router ban exists in the first place, is because they were upset about the vulnerabilities and not patching hardware. So to say you can't patch the hardware that exists seems like it's not the right direction. I just do not understand who's running that. Brandon and I did, the last podcast that Brandon and I did was focused around like the banning of like 3D printers and having to take your picture and prove who you were, and all these things that are based on people who are in power, whether at the state level or a federal level, who all have good intentions to try to protect us. And I'm not against reasonable protections. I really like some consumer protections. I'd really like to have workers' rights in the United States, but that's a side note. Let's go ahead and focus on the home routers, and let's go ahead and focus on the 3D printers. Let's focus on the wrong things that you don't know how to fix. There. Have I said too much? Do you hate me now? That's fine. I don't care, because this is ridiculous. But I am happy that at least some rationality has come back, and at least that they're not preventing this from continuing forward. Because if you bought a router, if you bought yourself a TP-Link or something that was on the banned list and still on the banned list, and you just had bought it, it'd be a real bummer if you couldn't get patches and updates for it right now, because you're still going to use it. You dumped $150, $200 into one of those spider-looking routers that's got all the antennas and stuff, and if you'd be like, oh, now it's just here, you're not going to stop using it. You invested in it, so it's crazy times. Yeah, Antitux, I love our Orwellian future. It's going to be so much fun. We can make a difference, guys. We can, I like to put on the good guy rich hat. Like we can do things about it that are, through the right channels is what I'm talking about. We can hack the spider's law. Exactly. Like we can write to our senators and our representatives, our state and federal representatives. We can tell them, hey, get your head out of your butt. Don't do it like that. Get in experts, ask the community, get requests for comments from people, and then take our requests to heart and do the right thing. But I don't think they don't think like that. That's the problem. It's fine here. Okay. Anyway, let's bring it back home. It's 6:30, Brandon. So let's call this to a close. I hate to leave it on such a hot button thing, but anyway, guys, I love hanging out with you guys, talking about this cool stuff. I hope you enjoyed today's show. As a reminder, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to tear all this down. I'm going to go back to my desk. I'm going to hop in, and we're going to hang out with the rest of the guys over there in the 2GT Discord and chat. It's our after hour show. Everyone is welcome. Join the Discord if you're not. Trucker Alley will tell you all the time to like, share, and join the Discord. And we'd love to have you. We'll see you next week. Thank you guys all for hanging out with me. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll catch you later.